Hi, I'm Maurice Sterling. I'm a public manager, a cattle rancher, and a real estate investor. And this is Rebel Yell. She's a striking American quarter horse. Reb's joined me here on my family ranch to help introduce a powerful real estate investing blueprint called the 10-10 Plan. The 10-10 Plan, powered by something called the PDP system, can truly make you rich. The 10-10 Plan describes what to do, and the PDP system will show you how to do it. PDP, as you'll hear in this program, stands for pre-foreclosure, during foreclosure, and post-foreclosure. PDP makes for a systematic process that brings together information from many different sources, like assembling a giant jigsaw puzzle to make a crisp picture of the best investment options. The PDP methods leave no stone unturned in the quest for the most profitable deals. By using the PDP system to power the 10-10 Plan, you'll learn how to cherry pick the sweetest low-hanging fruit of distressed real estate that less savvy investors pass up every day. Over the next few minutes, you'll hear from the master of creative real estate, Terry Passetti. Terry Passetti is a licensed Florida realtor, investor, and successful land developer. He's also a mortgage broker, an auctioneer, a civic leader, and a published author of several how-to books on creative real estate investing. He's my business partner, a trusted mentor, and my good friend. Stay tuned as Terry Passetti describes how you can leverage the power of the 10-10 Plan and the PDP system to unlock your fortune in real estate foreclosures and distressed properties. Here's Terry now.
Everyone thinks about their financial future. Where are you now? Where would you like to be? Homestar Realty Network can help you reach a higher financial orbit with their 10-10 Plan. Here's a program that can start you on your way to financial freedom. Here's Mr. Real Estate, Terry Passetti, to show you how you can retire in just 10 years with $10,000 or more per month for life.
Well, I really appreciate all of Maurice's great introductions, and the opportunity to work with Maurice has just been an incredible thing. I know that y'all have by now have seen Maurice and his horses and the things that they have. But Maurice and I, as he says, are probably the most unlikely business associates and partners that you've ever seen. I came from a background of poverty, frankly, and he did a little better than me. Of course, he's younger, so that was times to change some. But went into the real estate business at an early age. As I said, you know, when in my 20s I was developing subdivision, my first one. I was digging canals down the middle of a swamp. The canals obviously are still there, and the swamp is still there. But we truly drained that swamp to where we could utilize the land. The land was rolling. It was high and low, and lend itself to exactly the type of development that we did. Of course, today you can't do that. That's against the rules. Now, Maurice works for a large public company, and he's in charge of a huge project that's just incredible, and I'll let him tell you more about it whenever has the opportunity. But he's a manager's manager, and what we found out in our life that we weren't the manager's manager. So the opportunity to team up with a guy like Maurice has been a blessing. I just want to tell you that I am a blessed father. I'm a blessed human being, and I'm so very grateful for the things that happened to me in my life, good and bad. All of the good things in my life have probably been the cause of other people, and all the bad things that's happened to me in my life was probably self-inflicted. I probably did it to myself by not being a real good student and not being a real good manager. So, you know, it's been a learning experience for me, And what I'm trying to do for you is to prevent you from making the same mistakes. My little youngest daughter today called me, and she's having a closing on a house, I think even as we are in this, taping this tape, and she's buying her fourth house today. Now, at age 26 years old, she is buying her fourth house. I mean, a fourth house to keep. They buy and sell houses every day to sell, and that's what we do to make a living. And then in the process of that, we also buy and keep some things individually and as a company. We've accumulated a lot, and I want to just tell you that it came through the system that we have, our PDP system. We've explained a little bit to you about it, but I want to make sure that you understand it well enough to tap into it as a wonderful training program. The real estate industry is a huge industry, huge, and the specialties that are offered to all of us are incredible. During my lifetime, I could have been a lot of things in real estate. I am an auctioneer, I am a mortgage broker, and I am a realtor and a real estate broker. Now, I could have been a real estate appraiser on a full-time basis. Would have been a great experience. I could have been in the auction business on a full-time basis. I love it. It's a great thing. I went to Missouri Auction School back in the early 90s and learned a tremendous amount. I realized that all these things are opportunities to specialize. But I finally realized that where my real heart was in the buying and the selling of real estate and the developing, having started in my first subdivision, which is Oak Groves that I was telling you about, in my 20s. Now, since that day, I've been able to develop many subdivisions in this county, and at one time we built a lot of houses, and so I've been very active in all this. But you see, it was the power of debt that allowed me this opportunity. And now, I'm truly thankful and grateful to everybody that has helped me during my career. If anybody that has contributed to the good or the bad in my life, I'm grateful for that, because I'm here today to tell you that I'm using that for a learning experience and not a learning excuse. I make no excuses about anything that I flubbed up on the way, and I want to encourage you, if you're harboring anything like that, to get over it, get it past, get through with it. It can't help you tomorrow. So all we need to learn and focus on from this day forward is the positive things in life. Now, not to create more negativity and bad things in life is the right thing to do. So let me give you an example. Debt has the power to ruin your retirement. I'm watching people every day. I'm at the ripe old age of 62, and I'm watching people every day that get to the point of retirement. They worked all their lives. They started about 20 years old, worked for 40 years, and all of a sudden at the age 60 or 65, they now take a cut in pay, and now they got to live the rest of their life on less than they have struggled to live on all these years. Now, what's wrong with that theory and that system? Wouldn't it be much better to have a consistent income that didn't run out, that you kept, and the older you got, the bigger it got, the more it got, and all of a sudden, when the price of houses go up, the price of rents go up, if it's paid for and the payments, you don't have any payments on it, and the taxes go up a little bit and the insurance go up, but all of the rents and everything go up to pay you back commensurate for any additional expenses. Now, all of a sudden, you're into something that will just multiply itself for you over and over and over. I know so many people that are living on their retirement at an age and maybe in a health condition that they never dreamed of. I never realized that I was going to be 62 years old. When I was out doing mega real estate deals and I was in my 20s, 25, 28, 30 years old, I just believed that I was going to live forever, I guess. I didn't have any idea that one day that I would be this old, and that things could have been a whole lot different for me and my family had I had the vision and the understanding of the time use of money. So I don't want you to make the mistakes that I made, and if you have, then we're going to correct them, and that's what we've done for the last 10 or 15 years. And so I want to encourage you to take it very serious what I'm talking about, because if you see some of the mistakes I made, you would wonder how I'm even still here and how I still have my own real hair. Yeah, you just would be shocked and astounded at what I went through and the things that I did. And how I used debt. Sometimes I used debt, but it wasn't with a plan, that I used debt for my benefit. See, I always thought that every time I borrowed money or did anything, I was gaining, that I was using that for my advantage. I did not understand that if interest rates got to be 21 or 22% and 18% on houses, which was as high as they could go by state law, that all of a sudden the market would dry up and things would change, and I couldn't sell anything. In fact, I couldn't hardly give it away. The builders weren't building houses. They weren't buying lots because nobody could buy a house or were buying houses. It just seriously reduced our economy. I didn't believe that the United States government would ever be in a position to allow our dependency on foreign oil to be so bad that people were concerned about whether they were going to be able to drive from Jacksonville or from Gainesville or Palatka to St. Augustine to use oceanfront houses. I just never even dreamed of such a thing, and it's still hard for me to conceive that it happened, and that debt was the same. The banks were trying to collect their money, and they were having to raise their interest rates, and in most of the mortgages they had that ability to arbitrarily raise the interest rates on development loans and construction loans, and that's what we were into. So the next thing you know, we owed several $1 million, and the fact was that you couldn't hardly give the product away, even though it was a great product. Now, going back to the debt problem and the debt opportunity, one of the opportunities debt provided for me early on in my life. When I was out doing the subdivision, I had the $200,000 worth of mortgages. Well, I kept on doing it. I finally sold those mortgages to Mr. Charlie Cash out of Birmingham, Alabama, and I took that money and contracted with that contractor, and we built the roads and the canals in that project, and we started really selling lots and taking back the financing. Well, I have to tell you that was one of the best projects I've ever done. I didn't have a clue what I was doing. I was learning every day, and every time I made a mistake, I was learning. But I had hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of mortgages at that time that we were collecting every month. They were paying us interest, and we were collecting the money every month, and all the bills were paid. We had paid for the development cost, obviously, when I sold those mortgages. So a guy come to me, and he said, well, I built these 63 units called the Ocean House Condominium Project down at Crescent Beach, and he was very ill, and the stress of his debt had given the man ulcers. He'd had surgery, and he was so sick that had no children, nobody to leave this project to. He as a builder and developer had built this beautiful oceanfront condominium project. He had just finished it, and when he and I got together, he said, listen, I want to sell you this oceanfront condominium project, which was probably about $2 million owed on it. And I didn't have $2 million, obviously. I didn't have any kind of money at all, cash, and all I had was these mortgages where people were paying me. So it was a positive debt situation. So finally, he told me, he said, I own this property in a corporation, and I'll sell you the stock in the corporation and not sell you the property. So you'll own the property by virtue of you buy the stock in the corporation, and I'll take part of the mortgages that you have, that you've accumulated on your development, as full payment for my equity. And he had hundreds of thousands of dollars of his own cash into this project. Now, I'm thinking I'm pretty smart, right? I'm taking something that's paying me every month, and I'm going to take some of that and go trade it for a project today would be worth $10 million. If I had had the money to hold on to that project today, that project would be worth at least $10, maybe $15 million. It is a beautiful oceanfront project, had 63 units in it. Well, I was a great salesman. I thought I could sell anything if I had to do real estate. So I made the trade. I traded him the mortgages, and I got the stock. He got the mortgages that paid him, and he went home, as I say, a pretty sick fellow. And I went down and took over his place in that condominium, and that's when the gas crisis hit and all the problems hit, and we couldn't sell the project. A perfectly good project. People wouldn't buy it because they were afraid that they wouldn't have the money to drive from Gainesville or Palatka over to Crescent Beach to buy these units, and that's who were really buying up the units down there. We were selling oceanfront condominium units for $55,000. Today, those same units are $400,000, $490,000, $500,000, and you can see that and every unit had some view of the ocean. So it was a fantastic project, but ultimately I ended up having to give it back to the bank because I could not sell the units. So I wasn't personally guaranteed on the note, but I negotiated a settlement that got him off the note, which I'm just telling you about debt. I took over his debt, and I ultimately probably saved him from a lot of continuous problems forevermore with deficiency judgments and so forth. But anyway, I spent 2 years of my life working there. I gave up $200,000 worth of my mortgages that were paying me every month to buy a project that was huge, and I took all of the extra cash flow I had to keep the lights and the electricity and the grass cut and everything else in the project until I just finally couldn't do it. Now, if you want to learn the hard way, try some of the things I have, and you will learn the hard way. So you got to plan about your debt. That's all I'm saying to you. And the reason I'm telling you this story is you have to plan your debt. Had I been able to take on that debt with some partners and been able to make the payments to that bank for a year or two until the market turned around, we would have been multi-gillionaires. But I didn't understand that, you see. I didn't understand that sophisticated approach to being able to maintain something. Had we been able to go out and get a few partners to make the payments on the property, which there were plenty of people that would have done it, and given them part of the ownership of the property, today we could have still owned the property, not sold the units, just rented them out and kept them. So the power of leverage and the proper use of debt is critical to our long-term future. Now, we were talking about people ruining their retirement. Debt will ruin your retirement. When you just think about this. When you retire and you start getting $1,000, $1,500 or whatever a month income that Social Security provides, if that is your only retirement, then you have got a serious problem, because how are you going to maintain your home? How are you going to keep a car? How are you going to do the things that you're faced with, especially if physically, for some reason, you're not able to earn any additional money? So that's why we are pushing the idea of a person buying something and paying for it and having it to provide for them in your old age. Now, if we're already reached the ripe old age, it doesn't make any difference. We are where we are, so what we have to do is we have to buy some cheaper properties, maybe even mobile homes, and we buy a lot of mobile home properties, something that you can get paid for in 5 years or 3 years, or something that will give you a positive cash flow. We're just doing one right now that we had the lot for years. We bought a mobile home, put on, maybe I've told you about it, but it's going to have between $350 and $400 a month positive cash flow. Well, if you do that 10 times, right now, if you did that 10 times, you're talking about an extra $4,000 a month income. But just suppose it's $1,000 or $2,000. It doesn't make any difference. It's all relative to your desire, ambition, to use a system that works, that will provide you with the security that you need no matter what age you are, no matter what position you are, and that to me was just absolutely wonderful. Now, let me just tell you this. This is one of the best home-based, family-oriented business opportunities I've ever seen. I don't know of anything else like it. When I go down the streets and I see vacant houses and I see things that are obvious to me that provides opportunity, and I realize that we, in a matter of a few minutes, can find out who owns that house. We can do a little title research. We can find out almost what they own it. We at least can look up the original mortgage and some things that are a matter of public record in our computer at the office. We don't even have to go to the courthouse anymore to find that kind of information. So the objectivity here is for us to change how we think. And if we do change how we think, then we can change who we are financially. We can change our debts, and we can change our income. So that's what we want to do. Well, let me tell you that debt can be the catalyst for a brand new opportunity. I know a guy that just recently, that grew up here, got into some trouble, was a real estate broker, was a builder, was a lot of things. He came back to town in the last year, maybe it's a year and a half now. He put together a business opportunity, and I frankly don't know how he did it. I've just got my hat off to him. He bought a $750,000 business and got it funded by a trust. Some people that had a lot of money that provided the financing for him to buy that business. Now, he is operating that business with his family, and if you ask most people, they would tell you that something like that couldn't happen, but he did it. And so we're seeing this happen over and over and over again, that people go bankrupt, they get broke, and it's all because of the improper use of debt. Sometimes it's something beyond their control. like the guy with the condominium. He didn't have any idea that when he built that condominium that the government was going to allow gas prices to get so high. So what the gas price wasn't so bad, it was not available, and interest rates went skyrocketing high. So things have happened, and we have to be mindful and conscious of that. That's why we have to take some of the rules, which I'm going to talk to you about in a minute, and start saving some money out of every dollar that we get, period. You owe it to yourself to save some amount of money out of every dollar that you get. If you can't do that, then you got to get rid of some of the things that you're paying for, because now you're not allowing yourself to grow and change your finances. Now, debt has the power to force you into a lifestyle of poverty. Listen, I see it every day. I have made it my business to as part of my work in my life, to start working into some of the poverty areas. I send a lot of it in my book. I go there almost on a daily basis, and my goal and my dream is to see people change their whole lives. And it doesn't matter what their circumstances are now, but we see people living in poverty. Many people over the years ruin their opportunity for their retirement by being paid under the table, so to speak, for jobs and services that they got paid in cash, and there were no taxes taken out on them, and no Social Security was paid into the system for them. So they really cheated themselves, got cheated by the employers, whatever. But it's really had a tremendous effect. And we see it all the time. When you hear people are getting $300 or $400 a month, and that's all the money they get to survive on, they have to live in abject poverty, and we see it every day. And I couldn't feel worse for the people. Now, a lot of folks say, well, they don't deserve any better, they didn't do anything. I disagree with that. Most of these people were hard-working, dedicated people that worked somewhere and got paid very low wages. And then on top of that, if the Social Security benefits or any retirement opportunities weren't available for them, they really are paying for it later on in life. So when they get to that point, if they have any kind of a debt structure by the time they retire, they are forevermore placed in a position of such poverty and living at such a level that they don't enjoy the systems that we have today that are in place for most of us. And I want to recommend something to you, each and every one of you. Everybody can give a little bit to help people that just can't help themselves. I'm not talking about lazy people. I'm talking about people that can't help themselves. There are many, many people in a lot of these communities that literally can't help themselves. We would be astounded to know that some of the things that we throw away that other people would just love to have. And most of us are not running a conscious awareness program about that. So consequently, we don't know what's really going on. If we do, we're ignoring it, or we're just hearing about it on the surface. But it would help each and every one of us to go out and knock on some of these doors and get with some of these agencies and share some of the things that we've witnessed in the last few years. So I really encourage you to open up your heart and your wallet and your pocketbook and your time. Most of this could be served by us giving some of our time to help the people that can't help themselves. So debt is a powerful force to force people into poverty. I've watched them go right into poverty, go to a certain level, have to retire, jobs cut off, being laid off, being fired, companies going out of business, no employment, no opportunity, and all of a sudden people went from living a decent lifestyle to poverty. But you see, the problem with that is that somebody else has the power over our lives. When the person that can fire you has the power over your income, then you better be on the alert, okay? If you're dealing in life with that, where you have no residuals and no income, suppose the person that you work for goes bankrupt, the company goes out of business, you walk up to the door. We just heard about a company here recently. The employees went to work at a local restaurant. They went to work only to find that the doors were closed. Nobody told them they were going out of business. They closed the doors and didn't tell the employees. And one of the clubs that met there on this particular day shows up there and the doors are locked and they have gone out of business. And those poor people, some of them had worked there for 10 or 15 years, were given nothing for the time and the energy and the effort that they had put into this business. Now, folks, we don't want to let anybody have that kind of control over our lives. If that's the position that you're in today, that somebody could fire you, that you could injure yourself or for any other reason you couldn't work and you didn't make an income, you better take a strong look at this tape and you better analyze where you are today and where you want to be in 5 years and how you're going to get there. And I hope that you will understand that the force of debt robs you of your money and ultimately will rob you of your joy. Now, if you're not focused on your future, then you better get focused on your future. And I would do it right now. I would not wait. The idea that you can buy a house, that you can change your life, that you can lease a house and sublease a house and change your life, the fact that you can buy something for one price and sell it for another, you can buy some things and keep some things and buy some things and sell some things and buy some things and lease some things and keep some things. It's just amazing what the power of this system will allow you to do. So I don't want debt to force you into a lifestyle of poverty, and it can do it. So it can provide you also with a permanent cash flow. Let me tell you, if you will work our system, debt will provide you with a permanent cash flow. If you will utilize the system as we are teaching it to you and showing it to you to buy 10 houses, pay for them in 10 years, and retire with a $10,000 a month income, to buy a house and every 3 years refinance it and buy you a new car, or whatever plan you want, on the car plan, on the education plan, on your retirement plan, on your just want more income plan, or I want to be rich plan, any plan that you have that works for you, you believe me that debt can either make you or break you. And so we want you to do that. Debt has the power to repossess your home. The guy I was talking to today, his home's getting repossessed. Debt can make you a multimillionaire. You have the choice. You see the balance? You can repossess your house. It can make you a multimillionaire. The young couple are going to be multimillionaires. The other guy, unless he changes, he's going to be in repossession one time right after the other. Let me tell you another thing about debt. One of the saddest things about debt, and I've witnessed it myself, is what it does to people and their character and their morals and their scruples. And what it really does is amazing. It's amazing what it does. People are so caught up in the failure of a failed debt structure, in other words, in repossessions and foreclosures. This young man I was talking to this morning on the phone, he said, you know, I just don't know where I went wrong. I can't figure out exactly what I did wrong. He said, my family raised me to pay my bills. I have always paid my bills. My desire in my heart is to pay my bills. The idea of losing my home and filing bankruptcy and foreclosure and all the things I'm going through, he said, it just troubles me and hurts my heart so bad. I felt so sorry for him because finally he had gotten to the end of his rope with this house because he just doesn't make enough money to pay for it. So now he's put it on the market, but everybody that does that usually waits to the last minute to put it on the market. Why he didn't put it on the market a year ago, or 2 years ago, or 3 years ago, and get it sold is beyond me. But anyway, it's not here. I'm not here to judge the man. What I am here to feel bad for him, because let me tell you that debt causes people to lie. It causes them to cheat. It causes them to steal. It causes them to murder people, and it even causes good people to commit suicide. Debt gets people down and does more harm to them psychologically than you can ever imagine. If you allow debt to do any of these things to you or to your family or to your children, you are providing them with the not the right track. And I urge you to change it and get them on the right track. You see, but on the other hand, debt can buy you your first home. It can also buy you 100 homes. You could own hundreds of houses. And now, so today, from wherever your starting posture is, that I would really like for you to look at this as a win-win situation for yourself. No matter where you are today, if you will ride with me in this program, and you will stick with myself and my family and our teachers and our trainers that have so much to offer to you that can change your entire life, I want you to think about where you are today and be honest enough to write it down. Debt has such power over us psychologically to cause low self-esteem. Can you imagine just feeling so bad about yourself because of it? Debt may cause you to file bankruptcy. It's all part of the system, you see, of checks and balances that most of us aren't taught in school. Now, I want you to think about this in a positive vein. The only reason I brought up the negatives to you, and I'm not a negative person, was to emphasize to you that if you're in this position, you don't have to stay there. Debt has good power. It has the power to send your kid to college. If you go buy that house like we talked about earlier, you can send your kids to college. You can have secured debt and unsecured debt. If you've got unsecured debt, if you've got credit card debt and all of that kind of debt, you must get rid of it. You have to get rid of that debt. That is not serving you any purpose whatsoever except to drag you down and beat you up and cause you great grief. So if you have unsecured debt, if you have notes at the bank and you have these things that are unsecured, that aren't buying you anything, I mean, even if they're secured by an automobile, you may be driving your house. So believe me, when you look at your car and it starts looking like a house and you got wheels on this house and it goes everywhere, but when you get home in the evening that you're living in somebody else's house, you're living in a rental house, you're living in the circumstances that you don't want to be in, then you are driving your house and debt is robbing you of your joy. We want you to have the good power of debt. Debt has a great power about it. Debt has the exciting power about it. I'm so excited about the fact that my little daughter was able to get a mortgage today to buy her 4th house, and that she's also now working on her 5th house, and her older sister's got 5 houses, and the next one's got 19 houses, and her brother's got 12 or 13 houses, and all of a sudden we've got commercial property and all the things that they are thinking about on a longer term basis while we also buy and sell. I realize that we have a program. We have an adaptable, duplicatable program. We have an opportunity for you like none other than I've ever seen, and it is real, folks, and we invite you to come down here and let us show you what we're talking about and share it with you. Now, most of us have what we call the law of the lid. John Maxwell teaches this, and you need to get a book. His book, The 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership. The first one is the law of the lid. What is your lid? What has got you down and holding you back? I can tell you what mine was. Mine was lack of education, lack of training, and lack of management skills. When I finally figured that out and I was willing to make some changes, all of a sudden we started raising our lid and raising our lid. Till today, we fight the law of the lid constantly. But believe me, folks, something is going to happen with your life and with my life. We're not going to leave this world without leaving something that all of us have. It's called a legacy. We're going to leave a legacy. I hope that my legacy when I leave this world is Terry worked hard, he tried hard, he was a good father, and he was a good mentor to his children, and that as he gained his experience over his life, that he was willing to share that with the masses, and that hopefully somewhere in that, and working with the other things that he did in the community, that he was able to leave something positive in his tracks that would last forever. Now, a great part of your legacy can be you buy these houses, you set them up in a trust, you leave that legacy for your kids, you send them to the colleges of their choice, you send them to the opportunities of their choice, you help them build the same legacy you did. If you got 10 kids, at the time 10 houses, that's 100 houses. Help each one of them get 10 houses and help them set their legacy for their children and start to plant this in the seed of their head, because if we don't get it down in our thinking, then we go through life with what we call stinking thinking, and obviously it robs us of our joy. Now, you can increase your income, multiply it by 1 or multiply it by 10 or whatever you want to do. Now, I can remember the chant when they had us all in a great big cattle barn when I was going to auctioneer school, and they had us all in there. It was really, really funny. And it was fun to listen to 100 and some people try to learn how to do a chant. And they would go like this: 10, 10, 20, 20, 30, 30, 40, 40, 50, 50, 60, 60, 70, 70, 80, 80, 90, 90, 100. Now, 90, 90, 80, 80, 70, 70, 60, 60, 50, 50, 40, 40, 30, 30, 20, 20, 10, 10. Now, I want you to start thinking about 10. 10, 10, 10, 10, 10, 10, 10, 10. 10, 10 makes you a millionaire. 10, 10 makes you a $120,000 a year income. 10, 10 changes your whole life. Buy 10 houses, pay for them in 10 years, change your life, change your dreams, change your children, change your legacy, change everything about you, change your future of your entire generations. You have a chance to make an impact forevermore on lives that you don't even have a clue about today. And so I want you to get your chant. I want you to go walking around singing with me: 10, 10, 20, 20, 10, 10. One house, 2 house, 3 house, 10 house. Just sing it over and over. Say it till you mean it. Pop it out. It will work. It works for other people. I told you the story about the man that's got 28 houses that he bought from us here in St. Augustine. He has made millions of dollars. His houses are worth millions of dollars. Now, believe me, when he bought those houses, I don't believe he even considered how much they would increase in value, because he didn't know and I didn't know either. So we have no idea of how the changes that's going on in the economy and what we see today and the effect that's going to have on your children's lives and your grandchildren's lives. I only want the best for you. I want to emphasize that. It is only my dream that you have the very best, that you take your circumstances, no matter how dim you think they are, and that you open your eyes and you get you a chair and you go down by the beach or at your favorite place, and you sit by yourself and you have that meeting with yourself and you talk to yourself and you talk to God and you find out where you are now and where you want to be in 5 years and how you're going to get there and how this is going to impact your future generations. And if you don't have children or a family, friends and anybody else that you're going to make a major impact on their lives. You are responsible for the future of this country. We are responsible for the future of this country. It is going to be a direct reflection on the future of the kids and the growth of this nation as to how we approach our lives and that we make the changes that we need to make it better. That is a wonderful legacy. That is a great legacy. When I look at what's going on in this world and I realize that there are so many things that's happening, when I look at the balance of what's going on and I realize that on the left hand we see things going on that shouldn't be, that we really don't want our children exposed to, and on the right the good things that's going on, and that we're working hard to become the country and the nation that we want to be, and that we're able to provide leadership for all over the country. Just think what America does today for all of the other nations in the world. Just look at the leadership that we provided, the money, the opportunity, and it is because people that came before us had the vision to make this life a better place for us. I've just got through reading a book, The Way It Was, and it's all about the cattle industry in Florida back in the 1800s, and I realized that those people blazed a trail for us. They did things for us that we don't have to do today, and because they left us that legacy and they helped grow this country into better than it was, we are better people for that. Now, I want to just stop and pause with you for a minute and introduce you a little bit to some of the things that we do on a daily basis. Very close to my house here, we bought a piece of property about 3 or 4 years ago. It's on the marsh. It's got 600 feet of frontage, a beautiful view. Marsh goes out to the Intercoastal Waterway. The property's, we think, worth $450,000, $500,000. We bought this property for $8,500 for taxes. Now, my reason for telling you this is that anybody could have bought that property. It didn't have to be us. Then we have a piece of property that we bought that's worth hundreds of thousands of dollars that we bought for taxes. We paid $27,000 in taxes. We bought a piece of property that's worth probably close to $1 million. So you can get very wealthy in this property. Now, I'm only telling you this for another example. Suppose you had your 10 houses and you owed $1 million on the houses, and they were being paid for every month. And all of a sudden you found a piece of property because you learned the entirety of our business. You studied and took the PDP system, the pre-foreclosure, the during foreclosure, and the post. And you truly learned how to invest and buy and sell real estate while you were building your little nest egg that your 10, just think about it every time you see some eggs, that one of those eggs is one of those houses, and you're going to take that and put it up under your incubator, and it's going to grow. But over here that you have this piece of property and it's raw land and it's not making you any money except it's going up in value and you bought it cheap to start with, and all of a sudden that property sells, and you take that revenue and you go over here and you pay off these mortgages, and all of a sudden you have solidified with not one penny out of your pocket an income that will last you forever and ever and ever. Or maybe that you take that same amount of money that you sold that property for and that profit that you made, and you go and do a tax-deferred exchange and you buy more properties. So now instead of owning 10, maybe you own 20, 30, 40, 50 properties. It doesn't make any difference, you see. There is no limit on you except right here in how we think. So psychologically, if we can overcome the question about where we are, and we can understand it with a plan about where we want to be, and that we have the diligence to stick with the plan, then this country offers us incredible things. So you can do this business. We can do it. You can do it. If we can do it, anybody can do it. We've learned everything the hard way. You probably can start off easier than we did and realize that while you have your job, and I'd recommend that you keep your job until you get to the point where you don't need a job. But get rid, RID, that is called reduction in debt, RID. Remember that, RID, reduction in debt. You want to get rid of debt. You want to get rid of debt as fast as you possibly can. The less debt you have, the more equities you create, the more substantial you are. If you use debt for a leverage tool to buy into properties or to get yourself in a position financially that you never dreamed of, that's a good thing. That's good power. So I don't want this business or anything else in your life to have the power over you. I want you to take the leadership role and you have the power over it. You see, Tony Robbins teaches pain and pleasure, that most people won't receive the pleasures out of life until they suffer the pain. Just as a kind of a closing story, an old guy goes up to visit the old farmer, and the farmer has a hound dog, and the hound dog's laying down, and they're talking along, and about every 15 minutes the old hound dog would just howl at the top of his lungs. And the guy that was visiting the farmer said, what in the world is wrong with that dog, causes him to bark like that? He said, he's laying on a nail. He said, why in the world doesn't he move? He said, because it doesn't hurt bad enough yet. And that's exactly where we are, folks. Most of us move because of some reason, and it's more associated with the pain than it is the pleasure. So if you've suffered enough pain, and you've put your family through enough negative circumstances, and you feel like you're ready to step out and do something better, and you don't feel like you're entitled to 10 houses, or that's too big, the numbers are too big, too hard for you, I just use that for a plan. Do one, okay? Do one. Then when you get that one done, do 2, and do 3, and do 4, and do whatever you want to do. You see, my final goal and dream for you is, I hope that we can supply you with information that will empower you to change your life, and it will allow you to be everything in this life that you ever dreamed that you could be, and beyond that, you see, because most of us don't have very large dreams, and consequently, we're limiting the power of the Almighty to allow us to do anything that we want to do. So it's all in our thinking. As soon as we think we can, and we apply that thought to the principle of learning and success, we will have what we say. So start speaking it. I'm telling you, my little grandchildren are going to have 10 houses, and they're going to be paid for in 10 years, and that is my goal for them, you see. Now, why is that? Because I want to empower them so that as they grow up, that they understand the relationship of these houses, and their ownership is not necessarily a gift, but a job and an opportunity and something for them to work for the rest of their lives. So they start to see that for their children. If you save 10% of all the money that you get for the rest of your life, you will probably die a wealthy person. If you give 10% of the money that you get to your church or your synagogue or to the needy or whatever, you will be empowered, I believe, much greater than you ever realized that you possibly can. So I think that we're not just put on this earth to be born, to work hard for 100 years and then die. I believe that we have a responsibility to take the opportunities that's available to us and be able to teach them to others. And that's a wonderful addition to our long-term legacy. So I challenge you to jump on board, J-O-B. Think about your job. Think about it every day when you go there. Think about what it would be like if you didn't have to have it. And all you have to do is J-O-B with us. Jump on board. and it will drag you right out of the position of negativity that you've been in all your life. I thank you so much for the opportunity to visit with you on these tapes. I hope that you gained some true insight into what's available for you in your life that maybe you didn't know, and that we will have many opportunities in the future to visit. And I just hope and pray that this works for you like it has for me and my family. Thank you very kindly.
I hope you've gleaned some good ideas from the powerful concepts that Terry Passetti has just shared with you. I urge you to unleash the full power of the 1010 plan in your life and learn to use it to change your financial future. You can. The 1010 plan is the way to unlock your fortune in real estate. The 1010 plan is a proven wealth-building blueprint that anyone can use, regardless of your current financial situation, to amass millions in real estate foreclosures and retire rich within the next 10 years. Don't put off your financial freedom one more day. Take action now. Make the decision to put the 1010 plan to work for you. For more information about the 1010 plan, the PDP system, and a host of other how-to programs and real estate specialty training opportunities, visit us online at www.homestarrealtynetwork.com or email us at info@homestarrealtynetwork.com. You can also call us toll-free at 1-866-PASSETTI. That's 1-866-722-3884 during normal business hours Eastern Time. Whatever you do, don't postpone your financial future. Act now to change your life and put the power of the 1010 plan to work for you. A few years from now, you'll be very glad you did. For the Homestar Passetti Companies, I'm Maurice Sterling. Thanks for listening, and best of success.